Hey guys, welcome to another video. So today we'll be reviewing Brighton, who are 15th in the Premier League on 29 points. Obviously Brighton this season, they've had getting a new manager in following the dismissal of Chris Hughton, who did quite a good job for them, obviously getting them up to the Premier League, getting them playing a way that did suit them, keeping them in the Premier League. But unfortunately their results weren't really reflecting what the Brighton board wanted, and unfortunately, even though he was very popular, he did get sacked. They brought in a manager who was making a name for himself really, in Graham Potter. He was doing well at Ostersons, who were relatively unknown by anyone really, and that's not being disrespectful to them. It's just say they play in the Danish league and you wouldn't really know of them, but he really sort of came to the, everyone knowing him when his side beat Arsenal in the Europa League. They played a very attractive brand of football, high pressing. A lot of people, were like, oh, who's this Graham Potter? Then after that, he got the job at Swansea in the Championship, and again he transformed them. Even though Swansea have always sort of been a passing side, back from the Brendan Rodgers days. He got them playing the way he was playing at Ostersons, and Swansea played a very attractive brand of football. Scored a lot of goals. Obviously, it was working for them, and they almost got into the playoffs. Then obviously Brighton needed a manager, got him in. Then people were quite surprised when obviously they appointed him, but he was up for the job. He wanted to transform Brighton. And that's what sort of this season's been about, transforming them. Because I feel under Chris Hughton, they didn't really have an identity to them in terms of the way that they wanted to play. You couldn't say, oh yeah, Brighton are a passing side, or you couldn't say, oh yeah, Brighton are counter-attack, Brighton are a long ball side. You couldn't really say. They sort of had all three into one, pretty much. And that's... Now he's tried to transform them into that passing side, but I'll get into that later in the video. So as always, we go through their cup competitions. The League Cup, they lost in the third round to Aston Villa, who obviously made it to the final. And the FA Cup, they lost in the third round to Sheffield Wednesday. So obviously not very good in the cup competitions for Brighton, but I sort of feel, especially this season, with a manager coming, or sort of new manager at the helm, I feel like that the cup competitions aren't really their priority this season. It's just to stay in the Premier League and understand the way the manager wants them to play. Obviously, as I mentioned at the start of the video, or the majority of this video so far, obviously their new manager coming, Graham Potter, has completely changed the way they play. Now when you sort of watch Brighton, it's an attractive team to watch now in terms of the players they brought in. Obviously they brought in Trossard, Locadia. They've tried to bring in players that are going to help them. They brought Aaron Moy in from Huddersfield on loan. He's been very good for them. As much as I hate to say, Lewis Dunk's played quite well, and their keeper Matt Ryan, he's a very good keeper. So they've got a decent side building at Brighton. Obviously, nice stadium, good owner who wants them to do well in the Premier League and will spend money if he thinks he can take Brighton to the next level. But at the moment they're still adjusting to their new manager. Unfortunately, that reflects where they are. They have struggled at times this season. They haven't really been able to get sort of run of results together where it's flown them up the table. They maybe will win one, draw one, and then they might lose 2 or 3 on the bounce. They haven't really scored a lot of goals. Obviously they brought in Neil Maupay from Brentford, and he has been very good for them, but he hasn't scored the amount of goals you want a striker to score in the Premier League. And it does take about 3-4 shots before he actually scores. Whereas if you compare to sort of the strikers up the top half, Aguero might just need one chance and a goal. whereas Morpay uses like 5 or 6 for a goal. So that's sort of the difference. But as I said, they are adjusting, and they are trying to get that passing football going, that sort of press, counter attack, getting that. They've got a bit of pace now up top, and that's what they're trying to do, and trying to sort of re-establish themselves, as a attractive side to watch. Obviously, as well with that passing football, when you're getting used to it, obviously that comes with mistakes. And unfortunately this season Brighton have made a lot of errors, and they have conceded quite a few goals. And obviously that reflects why they're down, where they are. Also as well, a lot of times they have been in the league this season, and unfortunately they've either lost it or teams come back to get a point. And, you sort of feel, well, it's blatantly obvious. Obviously, if they had won those games, we wouldn't even be talking about Brighton in the relegation fight. But they haven't won games when they've been in the lead, and sometimes they've even lost the game when they've been in the lead. So, unfortunately, that's why they're down where they are. You definitely sort of feel maybe they got to work on the game management. When they're 1-0 up or something, or 2-1 up with 10 minutes left. How they're going to play. They need like maybe a plan B, C, not maybe try and always play the plan A, which is obviously their passing football, pressing, that kind of thing. Maybe when they are, as I said, 1-0, 2-0 up, 1-2-1, whatever, they need to get that plan B, C in place and, get the 3 points. Maybe they obviously would be higher up if they were better at that. But yeah, obviously one thing as well is they do have a lot of chances without putting away, as I mentioned earlier in the video. Sort of a game when I went to Brighton away, Brighton Palace, in the first half we were, Palace were poor in the first half and Brighton had a lot of chances. And alright, Palace defends very well and a few good saves from Greater, but Brighton had a lot of chances that game, and Morpay, Trossard had a lot of chances. Dunk coming up from corners, Aaron Moy, and if they had put them away, Palace would have been out of the game. But they continued to miss really good chances. Obviously Palace defended very well. In the second half, Palace regrouped, came out, and then we won the game 1-0. But you sort of feel that's what Brighton need to do, is get that sort of killer touch, in front of goal. When they are on top, they need to get away, get 1, 2, 3 goals, and then it's easy for them. Obviously, it's easy to say. Obviously, you just got to score in football. It is easy to say that, obviously, but that is what Brighton needs to do if they want to sort of move up the table and sort of ease the relegation fears, that kind of thing. But obviously, with them being on 29 points, they're still, quite close to the relegation zone. And obviously, if the season does resume, they've obviously got to get a few results. They have obviously got some very, very hard fixtures coming up if the season does resume. So it's sort of difficult to say whether they will stay up or not. But one thing Brighton do have is spirit. They have got some experienced players in there who will fight for the badge, who will do everything obviously to keep Brighton in the league. So if they can get maybe even a point or whatever off some of the big sides, then that could be the point that keeps them in the league. For me personally, I think there are worse teams. There are worse teams below them, which obviously I'll be doing videos on them soon. So I think Brighton will stay up. I think it is quite high the chance of going down because of their fixtures, but I think Norwich are definitely going down. Obviously you got Villa, Bournemouth, Watford and West Ham. So there's sort of a bit of a dogfight going on there. I think Brighton are probably better than some of the sides there. But yeah, obviously it's been a sort of season of transition for Brighton. Obviously getting an identity for themselves in terms of sort of attractive ball playing side. Obviously playing a different way under a new manager, obviously trying to learn what obviously the manager wants from everyone. And yeah, that's why I feel they are where they are. I think they will stay up. It will be tight. I think they will. Maybe by a point or goal difference, but I think they will stay up. I think the teams, as I mentioned, below them, I think they have been worse. But obviously I'll talk about that in the videos on them. But yeah, so far, for the season review so far, I think I'll give them 6 out of 10. It's just been sort of very average season for them. Obviously nothing to talk about in sort of the cup competitions. And obviously in a sort of precarious position in the league. Obviously transitioning to a new manager is always going to be tough. But I feel some of the sort of easy things you can do in football they haven't done very well. I feel that's, they just got to get their season over with, hopefully stay in the league, and then they've sort of got a whole pre-season to obviously work on their weaknesses. So any Brighton fans that stumble across this video, what do you think of your season so far? Do you think you're going to stay in the Premier League? If you do go down, do you think you'll keep Graham Potter and try and rebuild in the Championship? And if you do stay in the Premier League, who do you think you need, like player-wise, to improve the squad? Do you think you're going to keep with Graham Potter? And what do you think for your sort of future, your sort of next few seasons? Where do you think you can go as a club? Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video, which will be on West Ham. Take care, guys, and goodbye.